WWE is making some massive changes to Raw and SmackDown. We're going to talk about all of those changes in detail, plus a top WWE star could be gone from the company. No, we're not talking about Drew McIntyre. Oh, yes. Welcome back to TAS. I'm Ango. Don't forget, we got a giveaway at 100,000 subscribers. If you guys don't know, you should click subscribe down below. And with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, let's just jump right into it. Yesterday on WWE Raw, it looks like Nick Aldis and Adam Pearce they're having a war amongst each other when it comes to signing free agents and signing talent from NXT. If you missed WWE Raw, we talked a little bit about this on the post show, but I wanted to go a little bit further in depth because Andrade signed with WWE Raw and Adam Pearce. Nick Aldis walked in. And I thought this was a really good segment because Nick Aldis was interrupted by a phone call coming from Braun Breaker. And this particular segment was Nick Aldis kind of flexing a little bit on Adam Pearce that he was in talks with Braun Breaker. And obviously this is a very big tease of what is to come. We saw Braun Breaker in a very, very big spot with the WWE Royal Rumble. He had a very, very good showing. Braun Breaker also interrupting Nick Aldis and Adam Pearce by giving Nick Aldis that phone call shows that there is a lot of significance in his value as a quote-unquote free agent. But at the same time, too, I think this is a really good thing for WWE because this is kind of why I wanted GMs. And I think a lot of people who watched my videos a long time ago knew, like, hey, like this is what I was talking about. Like why certain people go to certain shows and stuff like that. Like have the GMs fight over people. Have the GMs try to justify why they're signing people and stuff like that. And, the thing about Braun Breaker going to SmackDown, it makes a lot of sense. What's really dope about the Braun Breaker situation, too, is Paul Heyman's involvement on NXT just a few months ago. I feel like a lot of things could come full circle from that. And with Braun Breaker, I was kind of joking about this on the stream a little bit, but I think there is a little bit of possibilities that this could happen. Braun Breaker could be calling Nick Aldis, but technically he hasn't signed to SmackDown. So I'm curious if maybe Nick Aldis kind of made a mistake by showing or telling Adam Pearce or, acknowledging that phone call in front of Adam Pearce. Adam Pearce is a good guy GM, but at the end of the day, it's just business, right? So now that Nick Aldis has kind of let the cat out of the bag, maybe Adam Pearce even goes in and tries to swoop up Braun Breaker before Nick Aldis could get it done. Nonetheless, I really like the idea of what they're doing here. Braun Breaker getting called up is well-deserved. I think it also adds a lot of intrigue to the Dusty Cup, which obviously we're going to see the finals take place at the pay-per-view Sunday. But I fully expect Braun Breaker on the main roster. I think he's going to do a great job. Him and Carmelo Hayes are just two hell of just talents that are just so crazy. They're a hell of a talent, man. And Carmelo Hayes has already been exploring a little bit on SmackDown. You bring Braun Breaker in the mix. There's just a lot of cool things you can do. Very, very exciting. Braun Breaker reportedly took the role of Brock Lesnar for the Royal Rumble. Now, keep in mind, there is a lot of allegations being made against the WWE, Vince McMahon, John Laurinaitis, and a third name, which hasn't technically been revealed as Brock Lesnar. But a lot of people have kind of put two and two together and assumed that it's Brock Lesnar. There's a lot of rumors about Brock Lesnar, and obviously that's what this is at this time. But Dave Meltzer was talking about Brock Lesnar not coming around for a while. He says it appears that Brock Lesnar is not going to be around for a while. Some people think ever. When it comes to talent, I hate to say forever because most of the time it's not the case, especially if somebody can draw. They always seem to find a way back. Obviously, these allegations are really, really serious, and this thing is going to be handled within the court, right? And there's a whole process for this, and without getting too many details into the lawsuit and everything like that, obviously Brock Lesnar wasn't in the Royal Rumble. Brock Lesnar was rumored for the Royal Rumble. Brock Lesnar was rumored for a match against Gunther at WrestleMania. And obviously, Brock Lesnar has not been brought back. And I don't know if this is a situation where WWE does a wait and see. I don't know if WWE is truly done with Brock Lesnar. But obviously, this is like a whole thing that, you gotta take care of this scenario, this situation. You gotta take care of it in the most utmost seriousness ever. Like, you got to have a very, very big level of maturity when handling this situation, because this is not a situation. If somebody's guilty, right, and it's proven to be like 1000% guilty, you cannot just sit there and say, well, you're welcome back. You know what I mean? And that goes to anybody involved with this. You gotta, Endeavor's gotta really make sure that this is not an issue for the company. And by doing that, you really have to take a strong stance. So obviously, whether or not Brock Lesnar is involved, we don't know. Brock Lesnar's whole situation in this, it's like a lot of things are assumptions and stuff like that. And obviously, I'm not one to assume things, and that's not something I do particularly, on this channel or just in general. I don't make assumptions based on serious allegations. There's a whole system in place. It's going to get figured out. But in the meantime, Brock Lesnar appears to be gone from the company. There's a chance that they could bring him back, whatever it may be. Now, has he been released? Will he be released? That type of whole thing, I have no idea. But by the looks of what Dave Meltzer is saying, it sounds like Brock is not going to be involved. And that brings us to our final topic of today's video. There's two parts to this. The first part is that WWE has a commentary change. So on WWE Raw, if you missed it, Pat McAfee is the lead color commentator for WWE Raw, with Michael Cole doing live play-by-play. And then on SmackDown, according to PW Insider, SmackDown's going to be commentated by Wade Barrett as well as Corey Graves, which I think this is going to be phenomenal. This is going to work out for everybody involved. Raw's commentary is going to be great. SmackDown's commentary is going to be great. Wade Barrett, Corey Graves is great. Obviously, I would have liked to see Vic Joseph, but Vic Joseph is killing it in NXT as well. We'll see kind of how they go about it. Maybe they'll make some changes eventually. I don't know. But nonetheless, that's the first change that WWE is making to Raw and SmackDown. The second is the production changes. If you haven't been watching WWE in the last week, it's very, very, very awesome to see some of these changes that have already happened, and more are expected to happen. But WWE brought in Lee Fitting, and we talked about this several times in the last month. Lee Fitting came from ESPN, Monday Night Football, sports background, right? And this guy is coming to the WWE Raw, showcasing talent, and SmackDown, and every show is doing this now. It's like showcasing talent before they enter the arena, their preparations for the event. They might be doing some stuff, with their suitcases and walking in and stuff like that. And it's actually really cool because when Bayley was walking in, a lot of people may have not noticed this. Bayley was walking in with Damage Control for Raw last night, and everybody all of a sudden loves Bayley, but that energy hasn't necessarily been there for the last few months, right? So just a really cool thing. WWE, you may notice that there's more tickers, or even in the Royal Rumble, there's been the things that pop up on the screen telling you how long they've been in the match. And then also the camera angles and stuff. There was some really cool stuff yesterday on Raw with Drew McIntyre and Sami Zayn. And just in general, the commentary, has even been a lot more relaxed. WWE is making a lot of massive changes to its production, and it's more a little bit of I don't know if I want to say realistic, but it does feel a little bit more realistic. And I think these are great changes. More are expected. WWE and UFC are also going to be doing things back-to-back nights. Like, there's a lot of things happening in WWE. I actually really like it. I think it's a nice touch-up of what they've had before. Nonetheless, I think it's very clear. I think a lot of people have already pretty much determined that Kevin Dunn leaving the company is like the best thing from a production standpoint. And I do actually have to agree with that, because I wasn't too fond of that. This is some really cool stuff, really nice changes, and I look forward to see what happens next.